Hi, my name is Olivia Moore, and my experiment is the isolation and pathogenicity assessment of entomopathogenic nematodes of the genera Steinernema and Heterorhabditis. Entomopathogenic nematodes can be found throughout the world. EPNs are soil-dwelling roundworms that prefer sandy loam soils located under vegetation where insects are more likely to fall. EPNs have a symbiotic relationship with gram-negative bacteria that live in the gut of the nematode and are released once the infective juveniles enter the host. The bacteria kill the insect and cause the insect to change color based on the species of bacteria and nematode. A survey was conducted on the Georgia Southwestern State University campus in search of EPNs. 16 soil samples were collected in 16-ounce containers around the GSW property, and the last instar larvae of the wax moth Galeria melanella was baited in the soil. The larvae were placed on the top of the soil, and the containers were placed upside down for 5 to 7 days to allow the Galeria to move through the soil and potentially come into contact with the nematodes. After a week, the soil containers were searched for dead Galeria and the cadavers were placed in white traps. The Galeria cadavers were usually a brown or red color due to the bacteria. A white trap is made from a 90 mm petri dish that is filled halfway with water, and a 5 mm petri dish that is lined with filter paper and is placed in the water of the 90 mm petri dish. The Galeria lay on the damp filter paper, and after 10 to 14 days, the nematodes will emerge from the cadaver and into the water. The nematodes were isolated, and fresh Galeria were infected with the infective juveniles to ensure their entomopathogenicity. Koch's postulates were proven by placing one Galeria in each infection plate space with a small piece of filter paper, and one nematode was isolated in one drop of water that is small enough to wet the filter paper with no additional water. In total, 24 Galeria were infected separately by 24 nematodes per infection plate. Table 1 shows how many infected Galeria were present in each infection plate from each of the samples of nematodes collected. The infective juveniles were tested against the blowfly Calliphora vicina, but none of the flies were infected by the nematodes. This experiment proves that Southwest Georgia and the GSW campus is an appropriate environment for entomopathogenic nematodes. 18.75% of the samples that I took on the property were positive for EPNs. EPNs are important because they provide management and biological control of pests. EPNs are easy to spray and cause no harm to plants, vertebrates, or underground water.